Hello and welcome. As you saw, I am going to be checking out Robocop for the first time today. It's a movie I've been wanting to watch for a long time. I recently added it to my collection and have the opportunity to watch it. So let's get started. Welcome once again, my name is Austin, and on this channel we talk about one of my favorite things in the world, movies, and tying together my faith with film and everything that's in between. So basically how these videos work on my channel, first I will give you kind of what I know about Robocop, my knowledge on it, then I will go and watch the movie, come back, and share my thoughts on the film. So starting with what I know about Robocop, actually interesting perspective on this because I have seen, I think it was in 2014 or 2016, the remake that they did of Robocop with Samuel L. Jackson and some other people. I remember bits and pieces of it. I know, so I kind of know, I guess, the general plot, depending on how much they changed for that film. But I don't know anything about Robocop really, or Robocop 2, aside from, what I learned about it through the Robocop remake movie. I know it is a Paul Verhoeven film, which the only other movie that I know off the top of my head that I've seen of his is Total Recall with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I love that movie, so I'm really looking forward to that one. I know he is really good with his practical effects, doing some graphic stuff as far as the violence and the action goes, so I'm really looking forward to that aspect of the movie. I love a good sci-fi action movie. I love 80s films. I'm pretty sure this is from the 80s, so I can't wait to check out something that I've not seen before from a decade of movies that I almost always enjoy. This Blu-ray that I'll be watching is the extended director's cut of the film, so I will not be watching the theatrical edition. I'm not sure necessarily the differences, the reception on both movies, but most of the time, director's cut is the way to go with a lot of movies. So without further ado, let's jump into the movie, then we'll come back and I will share my thoughts on the film. All right, so that was Robocop. I thought that was a really great movie. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute, but overall, really great movie, really cool action. The story was okay. There wasn't too much to it, but there was enough of a story, I think, that I enjoyed it. But I mean, 80s movies, especially the action ones, they give you just enough of a baseline plot story, and then they just really focus on the really cool action and stuff. And like I said, Paul Verhoeven, definitely a great, I'm not sure, I don't know which one came first. I think this would have come before Total Recall because I believe Total Recall came out in 90 or 92. So this was another really great 80s movie that I'm happy to have checked out. Definitely one I'm going to keep in the collection. So I really enjoyed it. I might upgrade it to 4K at some point. I know Arrow Video has a 4K transfer for it, so that'd be really cool to check out. And I don't have any Arrow Video movies in my collection. So as far as the things that stood out to me the most, I have some notes here that I wrote down throughout the movie. I would say the effects definitely stood out to me. Both the visual effects as well as the sound effects I thought were really cool. I really appreciated the work that seemed to have gone into the tangibility of the sets, whether they were constructed or shooting on different locations. I always appreciate tangibility and just physically being on those sets, that kind of thing. And then also the sound design. So the sound design, especially with the suit of the Robocop, I thought was really great. I liked the sound you get every time he takes his step was a really cool sound. That was one of the first things I noticed. And then you also have his voice, which is a human voice mixed with like a robotic voice. And then just all the sounds with the giant sniper rifles. Those things were insane. Those sniper rifles that come in at the end. And then also the miniature work. I really appreciate good miniature work. I love like stop motion films. So seeing that kind of filmmaking implemented into a more traditional film with the miniature work to make those big robots that they used over the original model plan for before the Robocop, those were really cool too. I would have maybe appreciated even a little bit more of that, maybe getting to see a bit more of a fight between Robocop and them, but I guess kind of one of the themes of the movie is he's the most efficient and effective police force, even over something that's a fully robotic thing. So I can appreciate what they did with it. It would be cool to see more of that. I did not realize that there was 4 or 5 Robocop movies, not counting the a remake that came out a few years ago. So I would be curious to know which of these sequels are good and ones that are worth checking out. So if you want to recommend any of the sequels, let me know in the comments. I would definitely check those out. And then I also really liked the music and the soundtrack. It's by the composer, I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, but Basil Polidoris. I had never heard of this composer before. The only other soundtrack of theirs that I have of the movie I've seen is the movie White Fang. So it's definitely one that I want to go back and listen to because I really liked it, and I'm someone who usually goes back and listens to soundtracks a couple of times after watching a new movie. So it's definitely one I want to go back and listen to. I really liked just the main themes of it. I thought it set the tone well for some of the scenes, as well as the world and the sci-fi elements that we're looking into. I always love 80s movies and what they come up with for what science fiction technology could look like in the future, and so they did a really cool job and some stuff with that, some really interesting social commentary stuff as well. So I mean, overall, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was really good. I haven't written up a review for it or anything like that yet for my Letterboxd, but I would probably give it an 8 out of 10, I would say. Definitely one that I enjoyed, definitely one I plan on revisiting and keeping in the collection, possibly upgrading to a higher format at some point. So that's my thoughts coming right off of watching Robocop. I did mention that I had this Blu-ray here, so like I said, this is the unrated director's cut. I would be curious how different this is from the theatrical, so if you're a fan of this movie and you know more about it than I do, which is probably anyone who's a fan of it, let me know the difference between the theatrical and the director's cut. This has some really cool bonus features in it that I'm looking forward to checking out. They have like the making of Robocop, Robocop creating a legend, shooting and making Robocop, some of the storyboarding, how they did the special effects, a commentary with the director and some of the producers. So for a standard DVD or Blu-ray release, this has quite a few bonus features on it. So I'm sure at least all of those and more are probably on the Arrow video release that I'm thinking about getting at some point. So overall, great experience. Really enjoyed the movie, as well as looking forward to checking out some of those behind-the-scenes features. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts and reaction to watching Robocop for the first time. It's one that's been on my list for a number of years and just never got around to seeing it. Recently added it to the collection and had the opportunity. So thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. I'll see you in the next one.